Patient hope, Romans 8, verses 24 through 25. We were saved in hope. If we see what we hope for, that isn't hope. Who hopes for what they already see? But if we hope for what we don't see, we wait for it with patience. As I pondered this text, I first thought about how hope and fear might go together, what the difference is between them, and how they impact my life. As many of you know, I was diagnosed with leukemia last fall. That initial diagnosis was an unexpected shock. I have to be honest that fear of what might happen in the future became a part of who I was. However, in talking with the oncologist, he provided hope as to what my future might be. He instilled in me a faith in what my future could be and provided me with ways to deal with my leukemia that gave me hope for the things to come, spending time with my wife, daughters and their spouses, and my grandchildren. I was provided choices that gave me hope for the things to come, but I had to take an active part in those choices. In January, I began the journey of chemotherapy for 6 months. It was a successful journey, which has resulted in remission for the time being. I continue to hope for my cancer to remain in remission. Our nation and the entire world are now in the midst of a pandemic with no immediate end in sight. We are all looking forward to the time when we can go about our daily business and gather together again without the cloud of COVID hanging over our heads. In the meantime, as we hope for a safer future, we wear masks, limit how much we go out and where we go, and keep a safe distance from others. It is difficult at times, but we hope for a return to a life that is somewhat similar to what it was like before the pandemic. Our nation also faces a time in which we don't agree on the direction it should take. Many are vocal about what needs to happen in our country, but can't agree on how to maintain the basic tenets of our country: the recognition of the fundamental worth and dignity of every person, respect for the equality of all people, faith in majority rule and an insistence upon minority rights, acceptance of the necessity of compromise, and the insistence upon the widest possible degree of individual freedom. These basic tenets are an excerpt from the textbook Magruder's American Government. We hope that those who are in powerful positions will embody those tenets. But along with that hope, we have a responsibility to use our right to vote and our freedom of speech to make known our desires and hopes for our country. Finally, what are the hopes of the ELCA? I looked that up on the internet and found them stated simply on one of the ELC web pages. They are that we are to be a thriving church, an equipping church, a welcoming church, a visible church, and a well-governed, connected, and sustainable church. Each goal has a list of priority action areas to focus upon. As I think about all of these areas, one common theme seems to be that hope focuses not only on the needs of oneself, but allows our hearts and minds to be open to the needs of all. Another common theme is that in each of these areas, time is required to work toward these goals, which means that patience is required. While hope may be a noun, it is important to remember that it is also a verb, an action word. Hope requires us to do something and not sit idly by. When dealing with my cancer, I had to go through chemotherapy in order for my hope of remission to come true. In dealing with the pandemic, we as a country need to follow guidelines in order to make it a safer place for all while searching for a vaccine. When determining the direction that our country takes, we need to voice our opinions respectfully and vote for the leaders that will embody those opinions. As a church, reaching the goals of the ELCA will take time, effort, and money. In summary, I want to quote what Pastor Ben sent me in his notes. Patience is not idleness, but active listening to the stirring of the Spirit. We trust that God is moving and acting in our world, in our church, in our lives. We are a community that waits patiently in hope together. It's difficult to be patient these days. We have been patient long enough, right? Our ministry is to hope for what is not yet seen, but has been shown to us in Jesus. A love that walks with all who sit in the shadow of death and despair. A love that brings a new dawn of hope. A love that knows no bounds.